Hey party people, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Bean.
And we're Kelly Beans Bees. We're second year beekeepers here in Central Virginia. And today we're out at the pumpkin patch and we are diving into the Phish Food hive. So this hive last week is where we got honey from. So
Yep.
I'm excited to see them.
Pulled some of the deep frames out of this because they were packing themselves out with honey. They didn't have any room to lay eggs. They had filled pretty much everything they could with nectars and pollens, and that's a problem. They need room for babies. So far, we are 4 frames in, and it's looking about the same up here.
Yeah.
Which is okay. Up here they should have honey and nectars. It's down below in the next box that we really want to see a lot of brood. But they also keep the brood in the center of the box, the babies. So, could be that I'm going to see some soon. But, no, they're just bringing in way too many resources.
I was just going to let you see that on yourself, for yourself. Yeah, so we took 5 of these deep frames out last week, extracted the honey, and we think we got around 2 gallons.
Yes, about.
So,
that's our guess.
Or we guess here. We had no way to tell for sure. So, yeah, but we just went to the turkey house before we came here. We don't normally do both in one day. We usually split it up, but
yep. We were feeling good today.
Yeah.
Feeling like we could do both.
And we think we have to extract some honey that we pulled from earlier tomorrow, so figured might as well.
Right.
This looks like nectar.
It's all the same.
More of the same.
It's all just pollens and nectars. Mostly nectar. Not a ton of pollen. But...
Yeah, so. But this hive from the front inspection was the most busy here.
It was very busy. I didn't look for pollens. I could have. A lot of times you could tell how much brood or get a good estimate of how much brood a colony's raising by how much pollen they're bringing in. But we were already going through the hive, so I just went ahead and looked at the hive and yeah, they're looking like they've got a lot of bees, and then moved on. So yeah, there are a whole lot of cells filled with nectar and honey up here.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a couple of drone larvae on the back of this frame.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, no worker brood. So I'm hoping
Fingers crossed.
that what's happening is they are putting their workers down below.
Ooh. You did something there, buddy.
Might have breathed. I know. Bees don't like it when you breathe. I'm going to go down to the bottom box. Because right now, we've got a ton of frames of nectar and honey. But none of it is to the point where we can take it yet.
Depresso.
There's still... I have a refractometer which will allow me to see what percentage of water is in the honey. You don't want to take honey off when it's too wet, or else you can risk spoilage and fermentation. We don't want that.
I was about to say, fermentation is not for honey.
No. If you do it in a controlled way, you can get mead, but that's not what we're doing. We want honey, not mead. So...
just remember that the smoker's right there before you move.
So we need to make sure that our honey is at a good water content.
So we don't have those issues.
Right, so that it doesn't ferment and spoil.
Oh,
whoops.
You're unlocking or locking the car.
Apparently. But the refractometer will tell me exactly what the water content is, but I didn't bring it with me. The rule of thumb is if 70 to 80% of your frame is capped, you're probably okay to take it. Your water content's probably good, but all those frames were closer to half, maybe 60%.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take them without knowing for sure what the water content is, and I don't have my refractometer.
Because we didn't even know we were coming here today.
Right. So that means I'm not taking any of that.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that they've still got space down here, because if not, we might have a problem that we need to figure out.
Yeah. I feel like we have a lot of those.
Well, that's kind of beekeeping. You know, have a good plan. You think you know what's going on, but
And then you don't.
right. But you need to always be willing to change that
Do you need
plan.
me to help you?
I think I'll be able to get it in a second.
Okay. These bees are like, wow! Sorry. I'm sure that was kind of loud. Honey,
Okay.
and I don't... Nectar,
Yep.
pollen?
Nectar
I
and
think
honey.
pollen.
Yeah, that's a lot of pollen in there. Okay.
If you can see, there's tons of bees. I'm being bumped a lot.
All right. I do have capped brood on this next frame.
Okay, well, that's a blessing.
So that is good to see. They at least had room to lay eggs. Hopefully they have still had room. That frame's a lot lighter. So I do have cells with eggs in them here. So that means they are not filling up all of these cells with nectar, which is wonderful to see. We gave them 5 drawn frames last week. And I think that's really helped them to shift all of their nectar and honey that they had out of the brood nest up into this top box.
Which
So they
that's
had
what you
room
wanted.
here. Yes. So from what I've seen there in that frame, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to go through a couple more of these frames, and if they all look like that, then I think we're good. Yeah, we've got a ton of eggs all in this frame. I would show you eggs, but they're hard for me to see, and I'm not looking through a camera or a screen or anything like that.
They literally are just like little, it's in a black cell, and then there's like the tiniest little line.
If I find a frame where it's really easy to look down into it, I might try to show Kelly and see if we can show you all what these eggs look like that I'm looking at. But, as I said, it's kind of hard to see them in general, and some of the frames are easier than others to see. The older a frame is, the harder it gets to see the eggs, just because it's so dark.
And most of these are older frames.
Yes.
You can tell by the tops because, well, just of the coloring of them, I guess, of the wood.
So they are starting to store some nectar and pollen in the middle of that brood.
Okay, I believe
But
you.
it's not too bad.
Ooh,
A little wind coming through.
yeah, you dropped a little bunch of bees, but it's okay.
Do they fall into the hive?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't
So,
know. I feel like
here,
I have about 1,700 around my head right
There
now.
are a lot. All right, would you come to this side? We got the smoker on the ground, so let's not hit that. But in here, there's a lot of eggs, and I think it's a pretty good space to look for them. So,
Oh yeah, I can see it. I'm pretty sure.
So if you look into the bottoms of those cells, you can see what almost look like little rice grains. They are so much smaller than a grain of rice, but those are the eggs that I'm always looking for, that I'm always searching for and hoping that I can find.
Okay, hopefully y'all can see them.
And as I said, some of these frames, this comb here gets really dark, and when that happens, it gets really dark inside the cell as well.
Yeah.
So the lighter that the cells are, the lighter the wax is, the easier it is to actually look down and see the eggs. We also run black foundation in our brood boxes, and that makes it a lot easier to see eggs as well. Because if you've got like a white or a yellow foundation, you're trying to look at a white thing against a white or yellow background,
Yeah.
and it doesn't.
The
work very well.
contrast doesn't happen there, so
Right.
it doesn't help your eyes.
So the black helps with that.
Perfect.
I'm gonna go through one more frame. I think they're good for now. They're really productive. There's a lot of them, as we can
I was
see.
about to say, as we hear them.
And the queen is definitely doing her job. She's got a lot of eggs in here.
And you think they have plenty of room?
I think they will. I think as the brood is hatching out, she's laying eggs in those cells. There's still, like this frame here on my side, I'll show you, is all pollens.
Pollen, yeah. Hopefully y'all can see it's like different colors.
So they are storing a lot of pollens and nectars down here, but I've got eggs and larvae all through this side. So they've still got room to lay, and they do definitely need all these resources, the pollens, the nectars, the honey, because that's what they're using to raise all this brood. If they didn't have all that, then they couldn't lay all these eggs and raise this brood properly. So I think this hive is looking really good. There's nothing that we need to pull off of it this week,
Some
which is
of
a
you
good
can
thing.
cry a little. No, it is a good thing, but it's also like, dang.
Yes, it's a good thing because the only reason we pulled anything off last week was because they were filling themselves out.
Yeah.
have a feeling some of these other hives that we're out here to look at today, we may need to do the same thing. We've got 3 more drawn combs in the car. We can stick those in the hives if we need to. But for now, I'm going to close this one up, and then we will bring you back to look through those other hives and see exactly what we're going to end up doing with them.
Yeah, perfect. So thanks for being here. We're going to go through the cookie dough hive next, then to Chunky Monkey, and we're going to see if we're going to pull off any more honey to extract. How many did we pull at the turkey house?
I think like
4?
2 deeps and 2 mediums.
Yeah. So we have those to extract, and hopefully we'll add a little bit more to that.
Yep,
So,
we'll see.
All right. Thanks for being here, guys, and
Bees out.
peace out, y'all.